Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Black Brain Trust. Tonight is episode 101. I'm here with my co-facilitators, Lionel and Christian.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. How y'all gentlemen doing tonight?
Good brother yourself.
Doing good.
Good, good.
All right. So tonight's talk will be about black. I mean, certifications versus certificates. So Black IT talk. So we had last night our Black IT Summit, and which is the first one we ever had. And tonight is just going to be a follow up, just a mixer of some of the content we didn't get to go over last night. So let's get to it. And if you want to follow along, you can look in the description below the video, and the docket will be there for you. The questions are there. So first question on the docket is, what's the difference between certifications and a certificate? Christian, you want to take a stab at that?
I'll go ahead and take a stab. When I used to work at OSU, we had certificates. You take like maybe, I want to say 5 to 6 classes, saying that you know X amount of information, something like you can usually get from a vocational college, I mean, college, university, or a VOTEC school. The certification is actually uh, a certification that you can get from, what's the word I'm looking for? A vendor Pacific or somebody like Comptia that
Hmm.
says like, hey, they meet the requirements to become a Microsoft certified professional in Windows 10, Microsoft certified systems administrator in server, and Cisco's got a few. Those certifications backed by vendors hold a little bit more weight than I went to school and I earned this degree.
Hmm. Right. So what Christian is saying, for lack of a better description, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but basically, a certification is something you master, and a certificate is something you learned. So those are the differences, and there are pros and cons about each one. Um, let's say a guy or person, I should say, came. He did a brain dump about the MCSE. He went and took the MCSE. And he passed it, but he had no prior experience. In this regard, a certification may hurt him because you have this mastery in a high level skill, but you don't have any resume to back it up. That becomes a problem. Um, in this regard, if you don't have the skill set, then going through the paces of a certificate program actually is a benefit to you. Now, if you do have a skill set, if you have years experience, such as Christian and myself, having a certification is just like adding a medal, to your uniform, and it basically says that you you've been certified, that you have this sort of high level skill set that's in demand in the market. So at MCSC, for example, again, is something that's in high demand for companies that are a Windows Microsoft shop. Back in the day, that used is that, can you put yourself on mute, please?
Oh yeah, got it.
Uh, Yeah, back in the day, MCSE used to pay six figures right out the gate. Same thing with Oracle DBAs. If you were certified in either one of those, you were a basically an MVP. I think there used to be the term, like, Christian, is that correct? Like, a Microsoft MVP was like a most valuable professional or something
Professional.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very critical, and it's still critical to this day. That means you know everything. You're a tech evangelist. I think that's what they call it. So there are pros and cons to those, certificates and versus certification. You can't go wrong with either. It's all depending on where you are in your career. I know you have anything with
No, no, that was a good explanation.
So if you don't have any experience, you'll probably better go ahead and get a certificate to show that you actually took a class, and then maybe going back and get a cert.
It depends, right? Some places I know, all your major universities have these certificate programs, but there's also a certification that may go with it too.
Right. Like when I was teaching at OSU,
Hmm.
you can take the A plus class, the Network plus class,
Hmm.
and like if you already knew it and you actually went to go take the cert, you
Hmm.
can come back and say like, I got my certification. It was pretty much an instant A.
Hmm.
So, um, I forget the entire name of the school, but WGU,
Western Governors University.
yes, with their classes, when you're like taking like if you was taking an A plus class for that college degree, they actually give out vouchers. So if you think you're good enough to actually try to take the certification test, you can take the voucher. If you pass the certification test, just go back to the school. It's like, yeah, I got my cert, instant A.
Hmm. Yeah, in few cases you will have a program that does have a certificate track with a certification at the end. That's very few, very few cases. Things like anti-money laundering certifications like that, AML. Uh, those do have that is there is a certificate track for that in the certification. And in order to maintain your certification, you have to have certain amount of credits per year, or per 3 years or something to that effect. I know for my certifications, I have to keep at least 20 to 24 credits per cycle. So in order for me to maintain be in good standing.
Okay. And that's like college classes, or is that like some of the continuing education classes?
It could be anything. It could be you, like the type of hangout that we're doing right now. That's
See,
considered a credit. Going to certain events, whether it's NISB or ISC or SANS, that's considered a credit. Subscribing to CIO magazine or Linux magazine, um, those are credits too. So you can't just buy one magazine. You have to be subscribed as a full year subscription. So
You said subscribing to channels like this that specifically I'm guessing that specifically talking about the subject matter in which you need credits.
not necessarily subscribing to the channel, but actually doing the work. So that's what they count as professional, continuing professional education credits, CPEs.
So when we're on a live hangout and on the panel and talk about um, a specific topic and continuously talk about that topic and up to date news or changes about that topic, that can be considered a credit.
yep,
No, not necessarily. So teaching, you have to teach. Having
Uh,
dialogue is one thing, but teaching is another, right? So what we're doing right now is actually um, would be considered mentorship. So that's considered to be a credit, or it should be considered a credit when you're
okay,
teaching.
so if along with the teaching, well, not teaching, but the dialogue, if
Hmm.
we did a couple shows where we put together a PowerPoint or someone put together a PowerPoint, whatever the case may happen to be,
Hmm.
and we was let's say that person, keep it singular, say, hey, today we're going to be discussing such and such, and we go through the PowerPoint and teach field questions and so forth, that can count as teaching that topic.
Hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it depends on what your level of certification is. So certificates are different. You don't need to keep those up. It's already been acquired. It's a learning experience. So.
Okay, man, that's nice.
Hmm.
what's that guy's name? Is it Mike Myers?
Yes.
Yeah, he does a couple of videos on YouTube and he does webinars. If you actually go to his webinar, you
Hmm.
can actually he'll email you a form, and it counts as continuing education.
Absolutely.
And he'll have a discussion like, okay, we're going to talk about firewalls today, and you'll go into it, and it'll be like, here's software firewalls that you're going to have on your computer directly, and then here's how you can, and he'll break down like pros and cons of it, all everything that you do on it, and then like hardware firewalls, like the one that you use for your router,
Hmm.
your internet at home, pros and cons of it, stuff to do to set it up.
Hmm.
Okay, so these tech channels like Linus Tech Tips that really get deep into. I understand they talk about a plethora of things, but it may be some subjects that they get deep into. Can they count as teaching?
If they had like a live chat session where they can actually answer questions, and if they're just going into like one topic,
Hmm.
and it depends what the topic is. Like if they're going to talk about like, hey, we're going to talk about the new workstation Gigabyte Threadripper motherboard. Like, okay, that's not really that's going to like one product. Sometimes it's great to go ahead and go into one product in depth like that. But if they're just going to go ahead and talk about like, okay, we're going to talk about the latest. Man, I already forgot the name of the hotel. What's the name of the hotel that got breached?
Starwood Marriott.
The Marriott. We're going to talk about the Marriott breach, what happened, and what they could have done to improve their security. And like
Mm,
they just give you a complete breakdown and make it a case study.
that's
Yeah, something
okay.
like that can actually be counted as continuing education.
Wow,
Hmm.
I did not know that. Remotely, well, not remotely. I did not know that.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Christian, Dollar Will is saying you need more volume, so either fix your mic,
Okay,
pump up the volume.
I'll just bring it a little bit closer. I didn't want to get any feedback like last time.
All right. Um, so let's go to question number two. Degrees versus certification. What matters most? Um, Go ahead, Christian. You can take a stab at it.
Depends on the job that you go to. I've actually had a couple of jobs that like, yeah, I got 7 certifications. They're like, okay, do you got any degrees? And at the time, I didn't have any degrees, so I got passed over. They didn't care about like how much years experience I had. They're like, well, we got to have X amount of degrees or this type of degree to do it. Probably like the first hurdle is going to be HR. If HR's got a checklist, they want you to hit that checklist. Um, if you can get past HR, when I actually like talk to the managers, like the CIO or the manager of the department I'll be working for, as soon as they walk in, I was like, I got this much experience. Okay, dude, you are in. I'm good. Some places they want you to have a degree. Some places want you to have a certification. And like when I first started, I went out and I got my Network Plus, I got my Server Plus, and I started getting my Microsoft. I skipped over the A Plus because it was 2 tests to get that certification.
Still is.
Uh, I didn't get jobs because I didn't have my A Plus.
Hmm.
I had to go back, get my A Plus. It's like, okay, A Plus means you can fix computers. I was like, I've had 10 years of experience before. I don't have to have the certification to say I can fix computers. But HR is like, if it doesn't have this checklist, we are not letting you go to the next level. So it just depends on what the job is, which one's better.
Okay. So my take on this is that the difference between having a degree and having a certification is that degrees come depending on where they came from matter. If you went to Harvard, if you went to Stanford, Ivy League school, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, Division 4, that holds a lot of weight because people who are doing the hiring probably came from those same division schools as well. So they look for those type of alma maters and camaraderies. So let's say Christian taught at OSU as an adjunct professor, and I applied for a role that he was hiring for. If he saw on my resume or my LinkedIn that it had graduate of OSU studies of information technology or information systems, then what happens here is that Christian wants to know more about who's this guy, right? So now because there's a relationship, there's a symbolic relationship between his being the adjunct professor at OSU and me being a graduate of OSU. So now there's a conversation that he wants to have, and he can verify everything directly with a simple phone call or an email. So now those other 20 resumes or applications that were submitted before, those get pushed down. I get the priority based on the fact that I graduated from that institution that he also was an adjunct professor at. Now, certification would matter if there was a demand for a system engineer, a Microsoft certified systems engineer, or Cisco certified network professional, CCNP. That's going to matter if you need that sort of skill set right now. The degree matters for networking purposes. Um, Facebook was started by a couple of guys, four guys that all went to school together. If all these guys didn't go to school together, it probably wouldn't have been built. Same thing goes for Microsoft. A lot of those guys went to school together, went to Harvard, went to those Ivy League schools, and that's how they were able to establish a relationship. So education from accredited institution actually matters in some areas.
Okay.
You gonna say something right now?
No.
And it's not to say that you can't go to community college and get the same level of education. It's just a matter of what you're, what are you focusing on? If you're just going there for a general degree, then that may not always play out to your advantage. So it may be more cost efficient, but at the same time, you may not get the sort of opportunities that the guy who went to a Division I school is going to receive. That's just the way the social networking works in the corporate structure. So
Yeah, if I got a bunch of guys that work with me that went to OSU, makes OSU look better. So the next time they want to like hire somebody, it's like, well, all OSU guys look good.
mhm.
Yeah, same thing with some certs. If you hire a whole bunch of Network Plus guys, hey, everybody that we hired that's got Network Plus seems to look good. Next guy that comes in that's got it has a better chance.
It depends on the certification as well.
Yeah.
Some of these certifications you can cram for overnight and pass it without
Yeah.
ever touching a computer. So things like that happen. But I think that's starting to change. Because of technology, machine learning, and things like that. They've become more adaptive. I think they call them CAT, computer adaptive testing.
Yeah.
So next question, if you got this one right, the next question is going to be progressively harder, and after that, harder, harder, and harder until it reaches a limit.
A plus was like that. Like on the hardware one, if it'll ask you like 5 questions, and like if the fourth one was about printers, and you get it wrong, be like, bam, next 5 questions is gonna be about printers.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, things like that happen, and that's why there's a difference between degrees and certification. Degrees um, come with some prestige, depending on which institution you went to, and certifications matter if there's a skill set that's in demand. All right, let's go to question 3, which is boot camps versus online schooling versus traditional college. Go ahead, Christian.
It depends on how you learn. If you can go ahead and get crammed out and bang out a couple of weeks studying something, boot camps might be all right for you. Online schooling, if you're disciplined enough, you got a set schedule, you can go ahead and do that. That'll work out pretty good for you. But some people are going to need traditional college where they actually got someone there that they can actually talk to. And if they're like, okay, I don't understand, like when I was at OSU, kids always had problems with RAID. And I would have to like break down, okay, RAID works like this. And I had to explain to it a different way than they were reading online and reading from the textbook. So it just depends on like how you learn. I, for one, online schooling is pretty good, but give me a book, let me read, and then I can just look up anything I have questions about. Uh, I haven't really. I've only done like maybe like 2 boot camps, and they didn't help me because they're like trying to hurry me move to the next subject.
Right. It's basically an exam cram. So,
Yeah.
all right. So my take on it is that boot camps matter if you've already have that skill set. If you already have a few years of doing networking or whatever it is, you know, boot camp can actually be beneficial to you because some people don't learn on their own. It, for example, if you were a CCNA person, if you were tasked with CCNA responsibilities, then what would happen here is that you may not function very well, depending on if you have ADD or some other learning disability. You may not function very well by yourself, and being shoved into a classroom in a 5-day boot camp, you know, could actually work to your advantage because you're around other people. You're a little bit more focused because the structure is a lot more fast paced, and it, you know, keeps your attention going. Your attention span is not always diverted. And then you take the certification like on a Saturday morning or something like that because all that information has been just jammed down your throat and crammed into your brain. It's hot and ready. So boot camps work great for that. Now for online schooling, um, I think online schooling, online classes actually work if it's self-paced. Um, and it works best for working class adults, not really young 16, 17, 18-year-old people. I don't think it really works well for them. Although millennials or younger zennials, whatever you want to call them, spend a lot of time on Facebook and YouTube consuming content in hours and hours at a time, it's not the same as learning. You know, their way of learning may be a little bit different. So online schooling is good for working class adults. In traditional college, you know, for those who are Gen X and baby boomers, I think that, you know, that's the target market, right? The target demographic is your Generation Xers, your baby boomers, who are used to going to a brick and mortar institution. I know you have anything you want to add?
Okay, I'm here. All right. The boot camps, I agree with you on the boot camps. Just the thought of just going to a boot camp and cramming. Um, okay, okay, on a submarine, we'll have to qualify submarine, meaning we have to go through the systems of the submarine to get a working knowledge of other people's systems. So just in case the submarine gets compromised in some way, we'll have working knowledge of how systems. Now, once we go through that whole test phase, it seems like right after that, we just forget everything. It's a striking phenomenon. But with the boot camp, I feel like that'll be the same way. Once you cram and cram for those couple of days, after after you get the certification or whatever you're trying to get, if you don't work soon after that, I feel like people will forget what they crammed.
Agreed.
With online schooling, I agree with you, Christian. You do need to have a level of discipline. I tried online schooling before when I was younger, in my early 20s, didn't have the discipline. Now that I'm older, I have the discipline to simply pace myself, you know. And for the traditional schooling, I'm a fan of traditional schooling, but now in this climate of schools and tuition and so forth, you have to, for lack of a better term, get it how you can.
Hmm.
So even if it's traditional schooling certifications, whatever the case may be, yeah.
I've actually ran into a couple of guys that went into like the Microsoft boot camps
Mhm.
so they can hurry up and bang out some of these certifications that could not do basic work. So yeah, if you do have a general knowledge of the subject and like, hey, I just gotta have the certification uh, for my job, that makes sense. That's okay.
Mhm.
That you actually do it for a living. Yeah. But if like you don't do it and you like, hey, this job pays X amount of dollars if I had this certification, and you go to a boot camp, like, bam, I got the certification. Then you turn around, you can't do the job, or you're always yelling and screaming about, hey, I need some on the job training. If you got a certification, they expect you to be able to come through the door and be able to knock out a certain level amount of work. You may not be able to do it the same way they do it at this place of business,
Mhm.
but they at least expect you to have a X amount of of knowledge in the subject.
Mhm.
That's all I just wanted to add.
All right. Let's jump to 4. So cert resources. For those who are watching, you can actually look into the description below the video. It has the docket in there. So the first one is IT exam vouchers. Let me bring that up. Share my screen. Come on. All right. So IT exam vouchers. This is a site that allows you to get exam vouchers on cheap, and you have a selection from Comptia, Microsoft, Cisco, Oracle, QuickBooks, or whoever uses that, Microsoft Office, and Adobe, whoever needs that. So if I click on exam vouchers, I click on Comptia, and I scroll down, there's a choice of uh, just about all the leading industry certifications that Comptia has available. So let's click on A plus just for 1 second. And if you look here, you'll see that. Oh, you know what? Part of this issue is we missed Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so the discounts aren't as great as they would be. So 5% off, 5% off. Usually, I think on Black Friday they were like 35, 40% off. You was getting a big discount on these things. And if I click on this one, and yeah, you can also self-register. See, let's go to Network Plus. Right now it's only 3% off, but if you subscribe to it, you'll get emails every day about new vouchers being discounted, um, and that works to your advantage because you don't pay full price for anything. I've never paid full price for a voucher ever in my career, so I've always paid 50 bucks here, 80 bucks there. I've always gotten at least, at the very least, 65 to 70% off a voucher.
I had a couple of guys at my job. They paid $40 for their Project Plus
Hmm.
certification.
Hmm.
I forgot how much that cost, but it's up there like 200 something dollars. It's almost like 75, 80% off.
There was because there's not really that much demand for Project Plus. Everybody goes PMP.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, everybody goes PMP. Those are the ones that are accredited. So you don't really get the value out of Project Plus. But there was a time when CompTIA was pushing this really, really hard to try to compete with the PMP, and it didn't really pan out that well because the industry didn't really accept it. PMP has a lot of traction because it's well accepted by project management professionals. So, but Project Plus is actually relatively good if you can't get to the PMP because in order to get to the PMP, you have to go through the CAMP, which is the certified. It's like the entry level version to the PMP. So in that regard, Project Plus might help you in that regard before you take the PMP. But if you're going to take the PMP, they've already come up with the CAMP, which is the entry level version of it. It only matters if you're going to be in a project management position. In my opinion, I think you should be focusing more on the ITIL. That IT infrastructure library actually makes more sense.
Okay.
But yeah, this is actually the website for the IT exam vouchers. So that's in the description below.
Yeah, I subscribe to that. They shoot me an email, and then they'll give you like, if you want to take blah 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 certification in the next couple of weeks, you get a bigger discount than what they have to advertise that's going straight to the website.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the second one is CBT Nuggets. And what CBT Nuggets does for you is that it actually has a lot of the tracks that you may be looking for in terms of content for studying. So virtual labs, um, a whole community behind it, quizzes and practices, exams, videos. So I've used this in the past, and it's been very beneficial. I think for like the A plus or something like that. When it was a long, long time ago, but yeah, A plus and Network Plus. I think I've used it for that. But I felt like I got my money's worth out of it, so I can't complain. You any comments on this question?
I like CPT Nuggets. I called at the job I'm working at now. I called and I asked how much to get a discount, and I think it was like 8 or more people. It doesn't have to be for the corporation. It could just be 8 buddies. You can call up and say, "Hey, I got 8 folks. Can I get a discount?" And you can pay like one big lump sum, and then you got access to download the videos and stuff that you need. What I like is like they actually have labs for you to work on, so you can like take it and learn it, as opposed to just keep watching the videos and trying to get the stuff down. They actually give you labs, and I think they even got practice tests now. I
Yeah.
like CBT Nuggets. Uh, I passed out a couple of their videos when I was subscribed to them to some guys up at work, and it's helped them out a lot.
Mhm.
When I was doing Network Plus and Server Plus,
Mhm.
those are two I used, and I had a couple of guys that like watched it, and it helped them get their certifications.
Mhm. Yeah, I think Anthony's videos are actually pretty efficient as well. So I can't complain about his content. I know there are maybe one or two people that are actually bad in the training industry. They get low ratings, so they get what they deserve, in my opinion. But that's CBT Nuggets. Let me go to the third one on the docket. All right, so this one is called Cybrary. Um, Similar to CBT Nuggets, but a little bit more interactive. I believe they have an app for your phone as well. So if you go to
Yes.
the catalog, you can go through skill set, or you can go on to like a live online training. So it's broken down by beginner, intermediate, advanced leadership, CISO. Those are all top positions. CISSP, advanced pen testing, incident response and forensics, Python for security professionals. I've done that. Um, Social engineering and manipulation. Those are high level skill sets that are in demand. So that's why they focus on it. And your intermediate, ethical hacking, auditing, virtualization. That's all sysadmin stuff, mid level stuff. And then your beginner, A plus, network plus, security plus, cryptography, cyber threat intelligence, and things like that.
Now I know they're taking the videos and stuff; those are free. But they got labs on there too that you have to pay extra for, right?
Um, yes, yes and no. I know sometimes they do give them away. If you don't finish the training on in a certain amount of time, they kind of push you into coming back. By the way, you didn't finish, this blah 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 blah. And if you do finish it right now, you can actually get this lab for free or something like that. So there's all types of ways they try to get you to suck you in, but I think the resource is actually relatively good. You didn't have this, 10 and 15 years ago. This is
No.
unheard of. I find it interesting they have this black woman's face up there and this black man's face. That's funny. I clicked off the when I'm trying to click off, it's saying, "Did you know cybrary is free?" Not right now.
See, I was using that for the last certification I got for Windows 10. I was using it for my MCSA for uh, server, and I looked at some of it when I was getting my Security Plus too.
Mhm. My laptop is actually frozen right now.
Okay,
Just give me a second.
all right. Uh, the next one you have on the list is Udemy.
Yeah, I know it's on the list. I just getting a circle of death right now.
Yeah.
Hey, Christian, question for you.
What's up?
Now, have what sites do you like to go to that you prefer to go to? I know you say you sent some videos out to your buddies and they liked it, but you,
I really like Spiceworks. They don't have a training section yet, but they'll have somebody like break down how to set up certain things, and they'll have everything written up. I like Spiceworks a lot. And depending on the subject, a couple of people that were using that were teaching on Cybrary were good. And there's a couple of teachers that I just did not like.
mm,
They were boring or they were like monotone all the way through. The other one I like is in the docket further down. Some of their classes, um, IT TV Pros. I think they even got a YouTube channel.
is there any people on YouTube that you follow?
Uh, is it Level One Text? The guy that used to be with Tech Syndicate. Really like him. Pretty much every time he breaks something down, like he did one where it was like, how big of a computer do you really need? And he was talking about like the smallest form factor motherboard you can get is ITX, which is like just processor RAM. You got one slot, and he
Hmm.
was like, all I need is a good video card to play basic video games, put up my stuff, a decent processor, enough RAM, and then I just log into the server and do everything I need. The way he breaks stuff down and explains, I like listening to him, and I like the points he brings out.
Mm.
That's one guy I like to look at. Linus is okay. Um, some of the stuff I like, some of the stuff he goes into, I don't care about. Gamer Nexus, I really like the way Gamer Nexus breaks everything down. He did a couple of videos where they were like best AMD motherboards for 2018, best cases for 2018, and I like the way they completely break certain subjects and stuff down.
Okay, okay.
Mike Myers, that you can like watch his YouTube or go to his webinars on. I like the way he goes into certain subjects. Like if you're actually trying to go for your Network Plus, it's like, okay, tonight we're going to talk about switches, and what makes the difference between a basic switch, a smart switch, and a switch that you use with command line, a switch that you use with a GUI, and he'll go into like maybe like 3-4 hours just talking about this one specific subject.
Is there anybody you follow on YouTube, Mike?
Excuse me?
Is there anybody you like to follow on YouTube?
No.
Oh, quick answer. Okay, cool.
No, because I pay for my content, so if I'm going to pay for it, I have to actually use it. I won't follow anybody on YouTube.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. Well, I don't know that you said like you like Lance Tech Tips. Anybody else that you watch?
Still filling other people out.
Now, before last night, I haven't even heard of this Sub-Zero guy. I'm going to check him out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, other YouTubers I hit up. Dewan Lightfoot. I was a Patreon of. Hang on. All right, I forgot the guy's name. That's embarrassing. Technoscope. He was setting up back when mining was big. Uh, he was showing how to set up a computer for mining. He showed his new dual Xeon setup.
Mm-hmm.
That's a couple other guys I like to hit up.
All right, so here's Udemy. Um, Udemy is more focused on micro and nano degrees. That's what they call them, micro degrees and nano degrees. So let me see. Go here, go to Comptia. And you get these cheap discounts. They also have an app for your phone. So if you get the app for your phone, it's actually very beneficial. And these are cheap practice tests, cheap courses. Really can't beat that for the price.
I bought a couple of classes from Udemy. I totally hit up the reviews on the classes
Hmm.
because I've actually bought a couple of classes where the teacher was not as good as some of the other ones, depending on the subject.
Hmm.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
And they got like not just IT stuff, they got like almost everything.
yeah. They try to be the jack of all trades, and I guess that works in their favor. I don't use it as often. I have bought stuff last Black Friday last year, 2017. I bought maybe a dozen or so programs and stuff on like security, on cybersecurity. So Python as well. So all right, let me get to the next one. And this one is Pearson IT certification. I like this because it just has a plethora of all types of content that is centralized and makes it easier to buy or easier to view for that matter. Let me see. Yeah, this Comptia Network Plus, obviously on the front page. Click on it and see where it brings you. Go to A Plus Work Center. And they put the discount code right in your face. There's
Yeah.
no guessing, no jumping through hoops, no signing up for emails. Just just go right ahead and get what you need and be out. I've used Pearson books for pretty much all my career, and I think that they're the best in my opinion. Very straightforward. I like the way the books are structured, where they ask you before you read the chapter, do you know this? And if you know 9 out of 10 or 2 out of 3 preface questions and stuff like that, then there's no reason for you to read the chapter. You don't even have to look at it; just go to the next chapter. What else do they have on here? Click on that. Oh, deals and promotions. Let me look right here.
Now I think they call it the premium package. You get
Of
the, you get the ebook and you get the practice test. I used their book for Windows 10 cert that I just got.
oh yeah. I just started doing ebooks probably about a year and a half or so ago. And I've only recently started reading them because I got the tablet, right? And
Hmm.
the Google tablet actually has Google Playbooks, so it takes all your books and then it puts it into playbook format. So when you do click on, so when you open up Google Playbooks, what happens is that the screen and everything changes and it goes into almost a complete ebook reader, so to speak, and you can make highlights and notes and stuff like that to it, annotations. But I think I have like maybe 2 dozen books or something like that that I didn't read over the last few years because I just didn't have a proper screen to actually read it on. Because you try to read it on a regular laptop screen, it's a disaster. I don't know how anybody can read that. It's
Yeah,
messy. And if you try to get like one of Amazon Kindles, what happens is the graphics don't look correct. So like it'll show like a motherboard, but it's like in a monochrome sort of setup. It's not so much as legible, but it's not compatible with the screen itself because there's certain colors and stuff that's trying to be highlighted for like network ports and things like that, and it's not there. So
yeah, totally got to have a tablet for that and a decent sized tablet. Uh, Most of mine was the Nook, and then when I worked at the hospital, they were passing out iPads. Then
mhm.
I got used to that big screen and reading my magazines, my ebooks on it. I was like, okay, yeah, I got to get me a bigger screen than this little bitty
Mhm.
Nook.
I know you want to jump in. I guess he's away.
I like that site a whole lot better. I like anything that will get you a practice test. And the way they do their practice tests, they'll just say like, this is your weakest area in this objective. Then I know I need to go back, study that chapter again, or figure out what part I'm having a issue with.
Hmm. Yeah, practice tests are always cool, man. If you can get 65 to 70% passing on the practice test, you're pretty much ready for the exam.
Yeah, wait till I get to the 90s.
Oh yeah.
All that money I spent on a practice test, I mean on a certification test. Nah, I'll wait until I'm making 90s.
Well, the thing about that is that, at least in my experience, some of the stuff that they try to quiz you on is not actually on the test.
Yeah, yeah. Some of the
So
guys at work, when we were studying for the Windows 10, it was about like 5 of us up at work. They all said it's like, yeah, but you don't have to know that for the test. I was like, either way you slice it, you got to know it.
yeah, but the thing is, like, okay, you scored 90% on it, you think you're ready, but then you go and take the exam, you're like, what the hell is this? This wasn't on the practice exam, or even sometimes the practice exam is actually wrong. There's been quite a few times I've noticed, like,
Yeah,
well, they ask a question and you give an answer, but they say it's wrong, but the reality is you were right, but the practice exam was wrong, or the practice exam marked something as being right, even though it's not right. It's actually wrong. But yeah, this next site is O'Reilly.com, and this is my lethal weapon for training and stuff like that for studying. Um, we can go to like a Dr. Trial. No, live online training from Safari, because Safari pretty much provides the content. Learning paths, interactive tutorials, online conference recordings. I think those are really key. Books and video training from 200 respectable publishers, and making notes and highlighting materials. I think that's actually really good too. I would say this is kind of the pinnacle of everything that's on the list in terms of content. So I'm subscribed to this, so I pay a membership for this, as well as I get my books from Pearson. With this, I can borrow books from Safari, so it'll be on like a time limit. So what else?
About how much is that?
Safari, it depends on when you buy it, or how you purchase it. I purchased mine from my I think I purchased mine Black Friday for like $200 or something like that for the year. And I get like discounts on conferences, so O'Reilly conferences as well. So
Yeah, nice.
let me go through this. And we have go to this share the screen, and then itpro.tv. You want to touch on this, Christian?
Yeah. Um, we went ahead. We got together as a group. This was one of the first ones we did as a group in my job, and I want to say we probably got like 20 guys that got their certifications just off of the material that they supplied. So it works for some of them. Some of their videos, only because I was teaching some of the classes, instead of just like, hey, this is how Network Plus goes. This is what you need to learn. They just like go into it. They try to joke and be funny, and that doesn't sit well with me. I'm sitting there just thinking, like, we paid $1,800, and you're going to sit there and joke, or the jokes were just bad, and then maybe upset. But yeah, this has helped a bunch of guys at my job. They really like it. They swear by it. I think it's just mostly videos. They got videos, and depending on what the subject is, they do have practice tests. One of the videos I did like off of this was they did a really good video for GNS3. GNS3 is a virtual machine they can use to simulate Cisco and other networking equipment. So instead of going out and buying a bunch of routers and switches and setting everything up physically, if you don't have the money, you can set up everything virtually through GNS3, get a pretty decent understanding of how to hook everything up, and start testing some stuff out. And they got like basic like troubleshooting, setting up your home router, setting up an access point, and they got like Microsoft certs on there, Cisco certs. So they go from like straight beginner to all the way up.
Cool, cool. So all of that is in the description below the video. So if you want it, just click on that. It should be there. And now we'll go into top 10 certs. And we'll kind of break it down per cert as well. And let's go to the first one. All right, Comptia A plus. So why did this make the list? So in order for you to get into IT, you have to have, especially for the government jobs, you have to have it in 30 days or at time of hire. This is a desktop certification and help desk certification, so you need it.
And this will help you get a job as an entry level help desk. They figure if you pass this test, you got a basic understanding of computers and should be able to help people out.
And if you look at this little caption below, it says coming in January 2019, the new Comptia A plus course series. Comptia A plus exam codes 220-1001, 220-1002, Core 1, Core 2 will be available January 15th, 2019. So if you're going to take the exam, you better take it now, or you're going to, you're not going to have the books available for the 1001 and 1002 course. I've had that situation happen before, where you get caught in the transition period of when they go from an old cert to a new cert. That's interesting. Oh, here it goes right here. 9 skills that you master and validate with the Comptia A plus hardware. Identifying, using, and connecting hardware components and devices. Windows operating system. Software troubleshooting. Networking. Hardware network troubleshooting. Security. Mobile devices. Other OSs and technologies. Understanding Mac OS, Linux, and mobile OS. Operational procedures. Follow the best practices for safety, environmental impacts, and communication and professionalism. So
Nice.
they've done a lot. They've changed over the years. This wasn't here before. The professionalism piece. I mean, you don't see too many professionals in this industry anymore. Right. So that's why we chose A plus.
How you doing? Keep it techie.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good.
Brother chilling. All right. So the second certification that falls on the list is actually CCNA. So RNS and routing and switching. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So why did this make the list over Network Plus? The problem with Network Plus is that it only goes so far in terms of network troubleshooting and network management. It doesn't really go over routing and switching. It really just focuses on level 1 and level 2 of the network stack, which is physical and the network layer. You need to know layer 3 and layer 4. And that's where CCNA actually comes in and fulfills that gap. You have any objections to that, Christian?
No objectives whatsoever. Now you can take the CCNA test, which is one big long test, or they actually got it broken down to CCNT one, which is pretty much just Network Plus. Make sure that you got a basic understanding of networking, and then you got the ICND two, which actually goes into basic configuration of Cisco equipment, how to telnet into it, how to set up a router, basic commands for setting up a router, and basic switch commands.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say it's like $250 for the CCNA or $125 for the ICND 1 and 2. So it's going to be cost the same. It's just that like you can take the first one, get used to how Cisco words their questions, and then go back and study, practice on a real lab or a GNS3 lab, setting everything up, getting used to their commands, and then going back and taking 2. I'm glad that they broke these down.
Mm-hmm. It used to be a time before where you could take the Network Plus as a prerequisite to the CCNA.
Yep.
Then they came up with the CCENT. Now they don't even have the CCENT anymore. It's just two exams.
Yep.
Keep it techie. You have anything?
Yeah, that's. I was gonna say, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to do when I took my Network Plus. I was Plan on going in and get the CCNA by taking the next test, and just kind of fell through. But that was the path I was trying to go.
Cool. You have any objections to A plus as well?
No objections. A plus is where you want to be. Where what search you want to take starting out, especially if you just getting into the computer, the IT industry. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh, real quick on the A plus, depending on where you're working for and what equipment they get, your business can actually get discounts if you have so many people that's got certain certifications.
Yep.
Like Cisco will give you a discount, like, okay, how many CCNAs do you got on your team? We got this many. How many CCNPs you got on your team? This many. Do you have a CCIE? And then the company gets like a bigger discount, and that's why some companies will like push, hey, you need to get this certification. Hey, you need to get this certification because that helps them get discounts because they know the vendor knows they're not going to call as much. They got this many people that's certified.
Right, and it's a part of their branding as well.
Yeah.
I know. In well, I won't say what I was working before, but managers actually get a big discount, not a discount, but an endorsement if um so many people on your team reach this goal for the calendar year or before the next fiscal, that they were all, CCNPs, or they were CISSP, or they were what do you call that? What's the other one? Um, they were SAN certified. Your whole team was SAN certified for the year. Then you're a manager. Um, you kind of got a big endorsement on the job. And a lot of those guys a lot of those people, I should say, men and women, ended up like in, inside covers of like CIO magazine or something like that. I helped save my company 25% by certifying my guys and this and that, and they get a big endorsement. It was all political, but that's the only point I was trying to make. Right, so that's why we chose the CCN. That's why I chose the CCNA over the Network Plus, because Network Plus only stops at layer one and layer two, and you need layer three and layer four to really be a fully functional network admin. All right, let's try this one. Comptia Server Plus. I chose this one because this is like an entry level system admin's position. We can go over what skills you're going to learn from it from Comptia's website. It says server architecture, server administrators, storage, security, networking, disaster recovery, troubleshooting. I know that not Comptia, Lenovo, Dell, and IBM. I want to say it's IBM. They won't let you touch their servers unless you're Server Plus. I know Supermicro was the same way too. Supermicro wouldn't let you touch their products either unless you were Server Plus.
Yep.
From a support perspective, so they wouldn't let you touch that stuff. Even some data centers, they kind of made you get it within 6 months.
I know that's right on Supermicro. I had a couple of vendors I was buying my servers and stuff from. I told them what I wanted, and I had them build it to my specs for a couple of other jobs I was doing. And Supermicro didn't want them like set up servers for certain types of clients because he didn't have anybody that was Server Plus certified. And he asked me, it's like, hey, can I add you to my payroll? I was like, yes. And he's like, yeah, I got a guy that's Server Plus. And they all put my numbers and stuff down. I was like, oh, okay. And he's able to keep doing everything he needed to do. Now, if you go for the Server Plus certification, remember, heavy stuff goes at the bottom of the rack, lighter stuff goes at the top. That was actually one of the questions that was on it. You actually had to drag and drop building a rack.
Right. It's a simulator.
And more certifications are doing that. Drag and drop, something interactive. Actually type in the command because of sites like brain dumps.
Mhm. So I just want to put more emphasis behind why we chose, why I chose, what do you call it, Server Plus. One, you need it to work on certain products, and two, it's in gateway into system administration. It's one exam, but it does cover a gamut of things that you would be doing for from a junior system admin role. So that's why I selected it. Keep it tech. You have anything you want to add to this? I know.
Nah, I'm just listening to this point.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much information on Server Plus. I remember looking over some material a while back, and it seemed like it was more Windows based server administration. So um
On a certification test, they actually had a few Linux questions.
okay. Okay.
Few. Uh, Server Plus is almost A plus for servers.
Yeah, it's the
Almost.
fundamentals.
Almost.
It's the fundamentals. So
Hmm.
all right. So next one is Microsoft. On the list is Microsoft Azure Administrator. I chose this because Azure's growth in the last year and a half has exploded from 0% down up to 27 to 30%. So one in every three companies is actually having some form of business relationship with Azure. They're estimating by 2020 you're going to see an explosion up to like 60%,
Yeah.
because of AD in the cloud, right? Active Directory in the cloud, Exchange in the cloud, Office 365 deployments. All of that stuff is taking place right now. Companies are going through their transition phase right now. I just got finished talking to a company here in my state who's big in semiconductor industry, and they do things a little different. So they're winding down their data centers, and they're actually adopting Azure. And Office 365 was the first deployment. So getting out of Exchange and getting out of all those things is somewhat of a slow process, but it's going to take place in the next 3 years. So between now and late 2020, Azure is going to be the thing that companies are looking for. So Christian, you want to add anything to this?
No, that's a certification I'm actually looking to get into sometime next year. Yes, more and more companies are moving everything into the cloud, and so many people are just used to Microsoft. That makes sense.
Yep, that actually happened to me at a job a while back that I worked at in Texas. They transitioned everything over to Azure. So they put Active Directory in the cloud. And it's crazy how you could buy it. They buy it. It's all based on the bandwidth. You
Hmm.
can set up you can set up Active Directory, but it's all based on the amount of accounts you have and the bandwidth that you use up and down. Or is it down? I can't remember if it's down or up.
It's down.
Okay. Yeah.
Like how much stuff you really going to upload?
Yeah.
Except for the
Yeah.
migration part, you're not going to be loading that much
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. That's true. And yeah, but everybody, I mean that company moved everything over to Azure. And from like VMs, they had like what's that called? The Microsoft VM, I forget
Oh,
what it's called.
Hyper-V.
HyperX,
Yeah,
yeah.
Hyper-V. They had everything at Hyper-V at first, and yeah, and they uploaded up, well, switched everything over to Azure.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Yeah, and, we have to understand why Microsoft is making traction. Infrastructure as a service, so IaaS, platform as a service, PAA, PaaS, and then you have software as a service, which is Office 365. and other Microsoft Dynamic packages that are in the cloud as well. And then you take on desktop as a service. That's going to be coming soon. You're going to start seeing more virtualization of Microsoft's desktop through Hyper-V. Microsoft is about to kill the game in the next 3 years. So AWS, although AWS is a strong juggernaut right now, going forward, they're going to have a very difficult time competing with Microsoft because Microsoft is coming back with full force.
Yep. And they one thing I remember that tripped me out. You guys might, I don't know, want to look into it, but is called geo replication. I didn't know nothing about that until I heard that term when they switch everything to Azure, on how data is geo replicated around the globe via their servers. So I don't know. That was just pretty cool when I learned about that.
I just want to read the caption real quick. An Azure administrator is responsible for implementing, monitoring, and maintaining Microsoft Azure solutions, including major services related to compute, storage, network, and security. So this is your MCSA for the most part. This is not MCP. This is the MCSA. And we're looking at some of the tracks right here. So Azure infrastructure and deployment, um, Azure integration and security, Azure administrative certification transition. So coming from the previous server 2012, server 2016. I mean,
Now,
go ahead.
something like this, you can like get your MCSA like 2012 server, and then like go back and add Azure to it. Because I know like you can get like MCSA, which means like you got to install, set up, and administrate server, and then you can go back and say specialize SQL or specialized communications, which would be like your exchange. And I don't know if they still got security or not, but they used to take the security plus as
No, they don't do
added.
that anymore.
They don't do it. Okay,
No, they don't do that anymore. Only because
they don't
Comptia,
take the money.
Comptia was slacking on their side. They didn't really keep up with Windows in that regard, right? So they were still talking about Server 2003, and it was like Microsoft has already moved on from that. So that worked for 2003, but it's not applicable to Server 28 or
Got it.
Server 2012. So it's Comptia's fault. But yes,
So you can get your like MCSA and then add Azure to it, right?
yeah, that's basically what MCSA is now.
Okay.
Looking at this the required exams, if you cover all these exams, you're pretty much an MCSA.
MCSA Azure. Okay. Well, I didn't know like you can get like your MCSA 2016 server and then go back and add Azure to it and just have it like, hey, MCSA plus Azure or like MCSA plus Exchange. I didn't know if they had something like that still or not.
Oh, you mean adding tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can look at it real quick.
Okay.
Technical certifications. Yeah, let's get technical certifications. Yeah, MCSC, MCSA, MCD, MCSD. You haven't seen that in a long time.
But how many developers you know?
Not many.
Yeah.
All right, so look at that MCSA machine learning. Shit. Office 365. That's typical. Database administrator 2016. That's
There's SQL for Richard.
he doesn't say Richard doesn't say which version of SQL he's working on, so he just says T SQL. And then you have Server 2012, Server 2016. But my understanding is that if you complete those other tracks that we were looking at earlier, For Azure, then that makes you
MCSA Azure.
yeah, that makes you MCSA Azure. So oh, here it is right here, cloud. So let's click
Yep.
on that.
Cloud and data engineering with Azure.
Mhm.
Them too.
You know, it's also interesting to note, and I just want to bring this up, is that they're on EDX. So Microsoft actually has degree programs on EDX, micromaster's degree programs. So you can get your master's degree in Microsoft's solutions expert for Azure. Okay, why are you taking so much time? What? This certification retires on December 31st, 2018. You will no longer be able to earn this certification after the date. If you earn it prior to that date, it will remain active. The active certifications section. Wow. Well, so much for that. We won't be looking at that then. So I wish they would like put that on the front. Hmm. But anyways, that's why I put that on the list. It was it's in
Everybody's
demand
gonna
right
do
now.
it. Yep.
Yeah, it's in demand right now. So Azure Administrator, Azure Solutions Expert as well. Although I don't know too many MCSEs anymore, unless those guys are really dedicated. They're usually like lead engineers, so lead system engineers. Hopefully Comptia does some stuff with the next Server Plus and updates it just based on what Microsoft is going. All right, so this next one is from AWS, Amazon Web Services Certified SysOps Administrator, the associate. This is Amazon's version of the MCSA of Azure. So they have their own. Amazon Web Services is a cloud platform. So basically, they are a infrastructure as a service and a platform as a service as well. So let's just look at the caption real quick. AWS Certified SysOps Administrator Associate examination is intended for individuals with 1 to 2 years of experience as a system administrator in a system operations role. What does validate? It validates deploy, manage, operate scalable, highly available, and fault tolerant systems on AWS. Implement and control the flow of data to and from AWS. Select the appropriate AWS service based on compute data, security requirements, and estimate AWS usage costs and identify operational cost control mechanisms. Migrate on-premise workloads to AWS. Everybody's moving to the cloud, so that's what they're talking about in that bottom bullet. Estimate AWS usage costs. Quick story. I was working for a company a year or so ago, and they were an AWS shop. They had no service in place at all. They had auto scaling on, and what auto scaling does is whenever you have a high workload, it just auto scales the resources up without so you get more cores, more RAM, more storage on the fly. They did not keep track of their usage costs, and that thing ballooned to $1 million in a few weeks or a few months. No one knew about it because no one was keeping track of it. And when management caught wind of it, well, management didn't even catch wind of it when I was there. When I was leaving, I think that's when they caught wind of it. So they had like a $3 million bill that was unpaid. And when you don't pay your bills, you go into delinquency. So that's why certification is very important. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So yeah,
Now, scrolling down to the bottom a little bit, I
yes,
like
sir.
that recommendations minimum of 1 year of hands-on experience with AWS. So you just can't like just next cert, next cert, next cert, next cert, bam, I want to get this too. Now you gotta like at least put in so much work of actually doing it. I like that.
Well, it'd be impossible for you to even take the exam without actually seeing it. There's no way for you to study it. I mean, you can study the terminology, but there's no way you can navigate your way through the exam without actually using it first. So, I mean, that's the recommendation. But most people who do use AWS, they don't use it frequently enough, anyways. They kind of just get in, do what they need to do, and then they leave, get out of it. Um, but yeah, there is no cramming for this. Can't cram for this. Got to go through the paces. Recommended general IT knowledge, 1 to 2 years of experience as a system administrator in a system operations role. Understanding of virtualization technology. That's you, Christian. You're always playing with VMware. Um, Monitoring and auditing systems experience. Knowledge of networking concepts, DNS, TCP/IP, firewalls, ability to translate architectural requirements. Multiple choice and multiple answer. 130 minutes. It costs $150 to take it, so no prerequisites in place. I need to go take my I need to take this exam. I just been lazy and don't really need to, so I'm just making
Lazy or energy efficient?
it. Lazy. I I did all these studying and stuff back in October, and I just haven't followed up with it. Just don't feel the urgency to go get it right now. So I'll probably do it in January.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to get into it, so I'd like start from beginner and work my way up and see if I can like find somebody I can actually start part timing, working on it, and start actually getting some experience with it.
Mhm. All right.
Real quick, Jeff wanted to know how much math he would have to get into to start doing IT. How much math besides subnetting do you use, Mike?
Oh man, you need you need eighth grade level math.
Basic.
Yeah. So it has to be like high school grade level.
Now, have you ever worked in a data center?
I have.
All right. Have you had to like sit down and calculate exactly how much power you're going to need for X amount of servers and how big of a power supply you're going to need for running X amount of processors and hard drives and anything in that area? That's on the server plus. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, and there's a calculator in one of the books, um, and it does show you like you can add a certain amount of systems. I think IBM actually makes the calculator. Or no, not IBM. It's
Supermicro used to
Schneider,
have one.
Schneider Electric, because Schneider is the APC big vendor for data centers, and they have a calculator, power calculator, and you can
Okay.
add certain systems and stuff like that to it, and it'll automatically calculate it out.
Because everybody like tries to get in IT when I was teaching at OSU and helping people study for their certifications, they've always like, how much math do I got to know? I'm like, not that much. I said, most math I use is for like subnetting when we bring in a new client, not that much.
And even subnetting, you already have a calculator for that.
Yeah, you got an app.
And for the most part, you already have IPs lined up, for
Mhm.
your next deployments. So, all right, so let's get to this next one. This one is from the Linux Foundation. Linux Foundation Certified System Administrator, LFCS. The Linux Foundation Certified System Administrator exam is an ideal for candidates looking to validate Linux system administrator skill set. So let's go over the domains. The Linux Foundation work with industry experts. and Linux kernel community to identify the core domains and critical skills, knowledge, and competencies applicable to each certification. Performance-based exams were then developed based on the competencies that were identified. Essential controls, 25%, operation of running costs, 20%, user and group management, 10%, networking, 12%, service configuration, 20%, storage management, 13%. So essential commands, log into local and remote graphical and text mode consoles, search for files, evaluate and compare the basic system features and options, compare and manipulate file content, use input and output redirection, analyze text using basic regular expressions, archive, backup, compress, unpack, and uncompress files, create, delete, copy, and move files and directories, create and manage hard and soft links, list, set, and change standard file permissions, read and use system documentation, manage access to root account. This is actually a very good certification. And if you look at the top, it says Cyber Monday. They're still running their Cyber Monday deal, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So if you buy a Cyber Monday bundle, it's actually 179 bucks. The reason why I chose this was because this is just the same exact thing as the Red Hat certification, only that it's significantly cheaper. Red Hat certification, I think, is like 800, 900 bucks. This is $179 plus you get subscription and T-shirts and other paraphernalia that they have available for you. And there's a community behind it. Oh, also the tells you right here your certification is valid for 2 years. It also includes
Free retake.
Yep, free retake if you fail it, because many people. This is a performance-based exam, meaning you're not answering questions. You're actually doing tasks. You're performing tasks. If you break the box, you fail it.
All right, I gotta hit that up just to prove I can do it. Kipateki, what do you think?
Yes.
Oh, and real quick
I'm
question
actually.
for you.
What's up?
What editor do you use?
I use Nano on most stuff, but I try to mess with Vim and
Okay, all right,
buy
thank you.
a little bit, but I use Nano because it's the easiest, and I'm always just trying to quickly modify text files, so I know Nano in and out, so I know how to search in it and all that. So that was the first text editor I've used, so that's why I just stick with it.
I like VI because it's on everything.
Yeah.
Going about what you were going to say about the Linux Foundation. I just wanted to squeeze that question in real quick.
Oh no. What I was gonna say was that this is a great certification to get into if especially if you want to get into Linux Linux admins and all that. And also the Linux Foundation, just so you know, is Microsoft is they I mean, you basically have to buy your way onto the board. So Microsoft is backing this the Linux Foundation. Just a quick fact. That's why they're incorporating, Ubuntu into Windows 10 and a lot of the Linux kernel and the way it operates all in Windows. So just throwing that out there.
That's the fact that they put LS inside PowerShell has helped me out a lot. I don't know how many times I've actually typed in LS in the command prompt, like, I forgot dir. I'm sorry, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
You want to answer Jeff real quick, Mike, or have me hit it up?
What is Jeff asking?
Jeff was asking about skipping A plus and going straight to Network Plus and Security Plus.
Well, we covered this earlier. Lenovo, Dell, HP, they won't let you touch their laptops unless if you're supporting them. They're not gonna let you touch them unless you're A plus certified. So, and if you're going to work for the government, you have to be A plus certified within 30 to 45 days. If you're going to be working on if you're going to be working on their government based equipment, and you keep it techie, you can kind of
Well,
chime in on
well,
it.
just to give my take on it, you can essentially skip, and that's what I did. Um, I
Depending on
mean,
where you
you
work.
just have to have some basic understanding how computers work, and obviously you will have that if you're taking let's say Network Plus, or and you're able to pass it, and also like Security Plus. That's the two that I've taken, and I have experience studying for. Um, and yeah, I had an associate's degree in computer networking before that, which I mean, whatever, it's a piece of paper, but I still had to study. You know what I'm saying? To actually, so I had a base understanding of computers, and I've been messing with computers for a long time. But um, you if you never actually sat down and opened up a computer and looked at the RAM, pulled out a hard drive, switched out the hard drive, um, upgraded the CPU of a computer. I mean, most kids are doing that nowadays, coming up, growing up,
Yeah.
learning this stuff. So um, you can essentially skip A plus. But if you've never done that to basic troubleshooting on like your own computer at the house or anything, then yeah, I would recommend you take A plus. That way you can get a good foundation of computers and just how the computer actually works. So when you get to the level of server plus, understanding how a domain works and all the nodes that are connected to it, how to push out group policies, you have a clear understanding of how the the base level nodes work.
Mhm.
So that's just my take.
Yeah,
And
same thing. Go right ahead.
it was Jeff. My bad. It was AO. Real quick. I skipped A plus at first. Got my Network Plus. Got my Server Plus, and then started getting my Microsofts. And like I said earlier, I couldn't get past the HR department because it's like you can't fix computers because you don't have an A plus. And I told him it's like, yeah, I got 10 years of working on computers. I can fix a computer. But HR was like, but you don't have A plus. That means you cannot fix a computer. So I had to go back and get my A plus. Now, if you're like at my job, you don't have to have your A plus. Some companies look at A plus like, all right, A plus means that you can do entry level uh help desk work. That'll give you a better chance of actually getting in and getting the job. But if you already got the job,
Exactly.
I would tell like some of my coworkers because it's two tests. I would tell them like skip A plus, get your network plus, get this, get that. But depending on where you're working, like at one of my other jobs before I worked at Bank on it, uh, I had to have within 30 days uh, my Dell certification to say that I could work on a Dell laptop, or they would have to let me go. And I was like, okay, this should
Or
be
you
easy enough
couldn't, or you
test.
couldn't touch it, or you couldn't touch it. In my
Right.
experience.
And I was like, okay, cool. That should be easy enough because I already got my A plus. I can just go ahead and take the test now. And they're like, oh, well, we'll count that since you already got A plus. You don't have to take your Dell certification. I was like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
So it just depends on where you're working. You might have to go back and get that A plus. And I don't like it because it's like expensive and it's two tests to get one cert. I tell most of my coworkers go and get your Network Plus just so you can get an understanding of how the certification test will look like because they're going to throw some questions at you to throw you off. And that's one test you pass, bam, you're certified. Then you can go back. Do you want to get your A plus? Two tests, X amount of dollars. I just want to address AO's question, not Jeff, real quick before you carry further. Sorry.
Right.
And and just so you guys know, if when you uh when you get one cert that's at a lower level, and then you get a cert that's, I don't know if y'all covered that at the beginning, but like let's say you get Network Plus. If you get Security Plus before Network Plus expires. Then Network Plus automatically renews and has the same expiration date of the latest cert that you took under
Yeah.
Comptia.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't cover that, but thank you for bringing that up. Forgot about
Yeah, no
that.
problem.
Well, wait. Say that one more time. That Network
If
Plus.
Like,
like
it's
your
all
your
Comptia.
I
Oh,
want
I'm
to say
sorry.
if you get your A plus, okay, you got your A plus for let's say 3 years,
Hmm.
and then you wait like 2.5 years into it, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get my network plus. Bam, that expands your A plus for the same amount of time that you got your network plus.
Yes,
And then
because they
you wait
look
for
at it.
that to get expired, you like go back, I got my server plus. Bam, all three of them hit this level.
Right. You're right about that. Right. You're right
Yeah.
about that.
Your expiration date pushes out on the lower certs underneath um, the higher cert that you got.
Hmm. You're right. So let me get to this next one. So the next one is that made the list was Linux Foundation Certified Engineer. And again, another Black Friday type Monday deal. 179 bucks. You can't beat that. Cheapest cert. This is cheaper than the A plus. To be honest with you.
Yeah. And like it's regular price if you don't go to the site that we suggested earlier, the IT vouchers, it's $165 for one Microsoft test.
Microsoft shows how to take your money, boy. All right, let me just go over the overview. So the Linux Foundation Certified Engineer is the ideal certification for the Linux engineer with at least 3 to 5 years of Linux experience. It is designed for the Linux. It is designed for the engineer looking to demonstrate a higher level of skill set to help qualify a promotion or land new, more advanced job. The exam is performance based on the command line and includes items simulating on the job scenarios. There are no prerequisites for this exam. That's even bigger. So the Linux Foundation worked with industry experts and the Linux kernel community to identify the core domains and the critical skills, knowledge, and abilities, competencies applicable to each certification. Performance-based exams were then developed based on the competencies that were identified. So essential commands of 5%, operation of running systems 18%, user and group management 10%, networking 15%, service configuration 17%, storage management 10%. Systems design and deployment is huge, 25%. So let's go down to what the largest is. Systems design and deployment. Define a capacity plan and strategy. Conduct post-deployment verifications. Create and maintain software packages. Create, configure, and maintain containers. We talked about containers last night in microservices. Deploy, configure, and maintain high availability cluster replication. This is a big boy. This isn't
Yeah.
this isn't child's play. This isn't something you can just study and cram for. You have better eat your Wheaties before you come in. Try to take this one. Keep it techie. Everything you want to add to this?
Nah, you basically covered it all.
This is gonna be like one of those other certifications, like if you break the Brox, you're out, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Pretty much. Exam is 2 hours. You got 2 hours to complete your task. Um, it's online too, so the delivery is online. Something you don't really see too much anymore. Um, one free retake PDF certificate,
Cool.
and it's
Now,
valid for 2 years. So
isn't isn't AWS one that you take a test online? You gotta have a webcam on you.
I don't know about that. I know I've never done it. I never heard of anybody doing that, but because where I live, AWS is only a couple miles away.
Okay.
I can get the bus and just go take the exam there.
I don't remember if it's the Linux Foundation one or if it's the AWS or the Red Hat because so many testing centers don't have it. They're actually like, yeah, just get a webcam. You got to have it focused in on you, and then you just go ahead and take the test. I'm like, okay. 'Cause everything I've done, I actually had to go to a testing center and actually do.
I typically don't like the whole idea of a webcam being on you.
Mm-mm.
I think one CompTIA exam is like that. I think it might be the Server Plus.
Yeah, see,
Yeah, I
when I
think
took
it's
mine, I was at a testing center.
which one was that? SKO002.
Is that the latest one?
The latest one is 004. They only change it every 4 years.
Okay. I'll go back and check it. I think it was 3.
Hmm.
I have to go back and
Yeah,
figure out which one it was.
yeah. 001 was so horrendous they had to update it. But I think I certified for 002. But yeah, that's why we chose it. Or that's why it made the list. Certified engineer. If you had to take the Red Hat, which is the RHCE, that would be something like $1,200 or something like that. I
Yeah.
think the class is like $2,000, $3,000 just for the class.
Yeah. It was like 10 for the boot camp.
Mhm. And they also have a Red Hat certified architect as well, RHCA. But I don't know anybody who has that personally.
No. I think I know one RHCE, one, and like 4 or 5 RHSAs. Kibi Teki, you know anybody with this cert? Or
Nah,
even a
I
Red Hat
haven't.
cert?
Nah, I haven't met anybody either that has that cert. That's why I was just listening.
All right. Let's get to the next one. VMware Certified Professional Data Center Virtualization. Um, I added this one to the list because it's VMware. Why not? No one ever got fired for choosing VMware. So VMware is pretty much everywhere. I don't care where you go. Somebody's using, if they're using virtualization, they're using VMware, almost guaranteed. So having this certification is a big deal breaker in the IT community. If you have this, like you're that go-to guy.
Yeah,
You're the go-to guy. You're the guy that's in charge of big
virtualization.
portions. Well, just big portions of responsibilities for taking the company from from having 100, 200 servers down to 10 servers. That type of deal. Being in charge of deployments and scalability and uh, decommissioning old servers and things like that. One of the companies I used to work at quite a while back, they had some old Nokia servers. I don't. Nokia hasn't made servers in over a decade, so they couldn't get rid of the server because they had nobody that can virtualize the OS that's on it. It was like a Windows 2000 server that had like some legacy software on there that was running, but nobody knew how to transition from that Nokia server that was on its last leg. It was only a matter of time before the power supply bit the dust or that motherboard turned over. Something was going to happen to it that was going to be faulty, and they needed a way to get this server into virtualization. They couldn't do it. Couldn't find anybody that can do it for them. Okay, let me just
That's another one I'm thinking about getting next year too.
I beg your pardon.
The VMware certification. That's another one I'm thinking about getting next year too.
Hmm. Let me just go over this career path real quick. So gain experience with gain experience with vSphere 6.5, 10 one of the training courses. There's a variety of training courses that you can take on. You can also buy some books as well. There's some pretty good books out there that covers 6.0 and 6.5 for VMware. Pass one of the foundation exams. So you take this entry level exam. It's kind of like a prerequisite of do you know this, and then the next exam is the actual virtualization exam for a professional VCP. Yep, pass the VMware Certified Professional 6.5 Data Center virtualization exam. So that pretty much covers that portion of virtualization. If you can cover virtualization for VMware, you can cover that for Hyper-V. You can cover it for Oracle's I forget their virtualization.
VirtualBox.
Yeah, VirtualBox.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, VirtualBox. And I believe there's a open source product as well. Trying to figure out what
Proxmox.
it is. What is
Keep
that?
it taking with no.
No, VirtualBox is open source. So if you have a Linux, well, Windows computer as well, you can install VirtualBox for free on any of those systems.
Is there any other VMware? Oh, not VMware. Virtual Hyper-V type software that you can think of besides those?
No, not at the moment.
I got VMware Workstation. I haven't set up my VMsphere shit, box yet. I got one of those in my other job though. And then my main job I'm doing right now, most of it's like Hyper-V. And I think we talked about, was it Proxmox?
Yeah, Proxmox is one. Yeah.
Who
But
else we
the
got?
reason I don't like Proxmox is because it's a whole OS
Yeah.
that you install on the system. It's not like you're installing an application on top of whatever OS you want to. You have to use the whole Proxmox system, and it's cool. It has a web interface, and you can quickly install VMs on it. But yeah.
Hey, can you think of any other ones offhand?
Well, I'm not sure the truth on this, but I've been hearing a lot of a lot of people are supposed to be going towards containers, and I know you talked about that, Mike, already one time.
Yeah, it was on one of these certs.
Yeah, about containers because you can containerize the application just on the server, and all it does is it's like everything is containerized in there, and it runs like a whole nother operation. I mean, it gets rid of it's one of those virtualization levels or layers. It gets rid of it, and I think it improves in performance and all that. But containerization is another thing they supposedly going towards.
Yeah, microservices is the actual
Yep.
other term for it. You can spin up servers in a matter of seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, Dockers. There you go, Richard.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Dockers. Yeah.
Yep. Docker is microservices, containers. It's all the same. Yep. So the last one on the docket is Comptia Security Plus, and the reason why this made the list is because it doesn't require 5 years of experience like the CISSP does, and it's not as expensive as any of the SAN certs. SAN certs are very, very, very expensive. You need somebody to help you pay for it. It's like a down payment on a car, so or a mortgage payment. I'm
Yeah.
serious. It's
Yeah, I know.
ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, and that's the reason why it was chosen. You want to get into security, cybersecurity. This is where you start. This is the foundation of entry. So let's go over some of the tangibles. more True Security Plus for DoD 8570 compliance than any other certification. For those of you who don't understand what 8570 is for the DoD, this is basically the information assurance uh, 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 um, um, bracket or chart that shows which certifications apply to which level that you're going for. So level one is like A plus, Network Plus, and level two would be Security Plus, CCNA. At one point it was CCNA, and then you had like GSEC on there, and then level three was CompTIA's new certification, which is Certified Advanced Security Practitioner, and then you had CISSP on there, and I think there was like a third one, CISA, which is a Certified Information Systems Auditor.
And they just came up with a penetration testing one too.
Yeah, but that's a red team cert.
Yeah. Like when they came out,
So,
I got the emails asking if I'm on red team or blue team.
mhm. So it says, what skills will you learn? Threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities, technologies and tools, TTP, architecture and design, identity, access and management, risk management, cryptography, and PKI, public key infrastructure. Jobs that use CompTIA Security Plus are system administrators, security specialists, security engineer, network administrator, junior IT auditor, and penetration tester, security consultant. So this is the most recent one. It just came out last year, October 4th, 2017. 90 questions, 90 minutes to take it, multiple choice, and performance based. It's not something you can just study for and kind of eeny, meeny, miny, mo your way through it. CompTIA is getting really difficult. Passing scores is 750. Recommended experience, CompTIA Network Plus, and 2 years of experience in IT administration with a security focus. Price is $339. You can find it for cheaper on IT exam vouchers that we have in the link in the description in the docket. Recommended experience, CompTIA Network Plus. All the more reason why you should actually, get your Network Plus before you get your Security Plus. Keep it tucky. You have anything you want to add to this?
Nah, this, I mean, you explained everything, but yeah, this is a perfect cert if you're trying to get into security. This is like a stepping stone towards your CEH, which is the next cert up from this. I would recommend if you want to be on the red team, actually testing networks, looking for vulnerabilities, all that good stuff. I know a couple guys that are actually doing some of that type of work for the government. Like there was a guy, I know he was working in Dallas, but yeah, he was working for one of the government agencies. He needed Security Plus, and he started working on his Linux certs as well. So because once you get into a lot of government agencies, a lot of the tools that they use, especially on those red teams and all that, are Linux based, and so I know CEH gets into Kali Linux, which is a specific OS built for security auditing, and a lot of hackers use that as well because it's open source. But I'm just saying they use those tools actually to prevent attacks and all that. So if you want to get into it, this is like one of your first steps. Security Plus, because that'll help you get into one of those government jobs, as well as pushing you towards either the Linux route or the CEH route, whatever. So,
Christian, you have anything you want to add?
Not the 501, but the 401. I actually got that certification.
Okay.
there was a lot of bring your own device questions on there, what you're allowed to do and not what you're not allowed to do on somebody else's equipment. It was a pretty intense test. Now, the very first one it first came out, I failed that like 3 times because it wasn't just all computer security questions. It was also physical security questions, like where you're allowed to put security cameras, how far away can they be from the bathrooms,
Yep.
man trap depths, the different types of barbed wire. So it wasn't just it was like 20 actual physical security questions, and there was 80 computer security questions. Yeah, I felt that like 3 times because I didn't know anything about how far security cameras were allowed to be from the bathrooms, the different types of barbed wire, the different types of man traps. But
Mhm.
the 401, I got it.
Man trap. That sounds like a succubus plan.
See, there you go.
Um, Richard in the chat room says y'all got a lot of love for Comptia. I was always hearing Cisco and Microsoft certs are better. So I want to introduce this DoD, the Department of Defense approved 8570 baseline certifications chart. So Richard, please pay attention to the screen. So can you guys see this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So IAT refers to information assurance technician level 1, right? So what you're seeing right here is A plus, CCNA security, network plus, SSCP. So SSCP is actually another alternative to the security plus from ISC. And then you have IAT level 2, DCNA security, the new Comptia blue team cert, which is a security analyst, GICSP, which is another SAN cert, GSEC, security plus, SSCP. There are no Microsoft and there are no Microsoft certifications that can be applied to this at all. Level 3 is actually CAS, which is CASP, Certified Advanced Security Practitioner, CCNP Security, CISA, Certified Information Systems Auditor, CISSP, or the Associate. If you get an Associate, you can't claim CISSP, so keep that in mind. GCED and GCIH. And then it goes on to IAM, which is Information Assurance Management. 1, 2, and 3 levels of 1, 2, and 3. Snowden was Edward Snowden was a IAM level 3, so he was CISSP in that regard. He lost his certification though. So if that makes sense to you, Mr. Richard, that's why we selected. You know what? Now I'll actually drop this in the chat too, so that people can
That'll work.
have a reference, so they can't say we make this stuff up, on the replay. There was actually 9 certifications. I should have actually yeah, I forgot to add one more.
You want to add the Google one?
No.
Okay.
It was actually share my screen. Yeah. So check this out right here. This is the ITIL. Every environment I've been in uses the IT infrastructure library, and the reason why this is important because this stupid pop-ups. The reason why it's important is because this is how they deal with service management. So if you're going to work in desktop and server and network administration, this is exactly how they structure out their service management for um, workplace incidents and things like that in the IT spec. Let me see. Yep, and it goes into foundation level. You only need the foundation level. It doesn't. You don't need the.
Practitioner and the expert.
If you work in Europe, I think in Europe is really popular for for the practitioner level. And expert level is really where you are. You have a high level of responsibility. That's the only job that you do is service management. But the foundation level is the entry level certification, which offers you a general awareness of the key elements, concepts, and terminology used in the ITIL service lifecycle, including the links between lifecycle stages, the processes, and used, and their contribution to service management practices. So lifecycle involves system devices, so your endpoints, all your laptops, desktops, servers, printers, all that stuff has a life cycle. And how do you deploy them? How do you manage them? And then how do you bring them offline in a proper fashion? That's what ITIL focuses on. Same thing for applications. Applications have a life cycle that they go through. Um, for software updates, maintenance packages, patching, vulnerability assessment, things of that nature. All of that stuff gets taken into consideration in the ITIO. And then in the IT industry, this is the benchmark for how this works. And most corporations that I've been in force you to have this certification if you don't already have it.
Not the job I'm at now, but the one I had previously. Yeah, they were hardcore into ITIL.
Hmm. Yeah, I started to get my practitioner exam. I still have the book somewhere. I just never bothered because I don't work in that sector anymore. So, although if I did, it would actually pay a whole lot. So let me go to the chat real quick.
Okay. Yeah, Richard's got another question for you.
It says Richard says, yeah, you bring up another issue to think about too. What certs to get that will get more or less work concerning government or private business? They all matter. Government requires it because they have their own standards, but then most corporations want you to have it too, in some regard, right? So if you're going to be a desktop person, you got to have an A plus at some point. There's no way you're going to be working on all these laptops, hundreds of laptops, be in charge of, you know, tech, managing, high, C-level hardware, business executive hardware, and then not be certified. Because what happens when you lose somebody's data or you drop somebody's laptop, they're gonna ask, well, where did this guy come from? What's his background? Does he even have a certification? Oh no, we didn't check that. Why not? Hmm. It could be lawsuits involved for that. I've only seen this once, but I've seen one guy get fired for dropping a laptop. Wasn't certified. I've seen guys in data centers trying to, take out a 3U or 4U rack full of, hard drives, big spinning hard drives back then, big scuzzy hard drives, and they drop them. Who told this guy he can pick up a 3U, 4U server but on his own and carry it on his own? You're supposed to carry that with two people. He doesn't know that because he was never certified for, in Server Plus, because Server Plus talks about that. So regardless of which sector you work in, whether it's public or private, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna have to have those certifications at some point. You can get around some places without it for a certain amount of time, but you know, if you're working in a high stress environment, they're gonna make you go get it regardless. Keep it techie. You have anything you want to add?
Nah, you covered it,
Hmm.
as far as I can tell. Oh well, it is one thing. I don't know if you want to show them that, but I know on Comptia's website, it also shows like the career path of the certs that you can take, like where you should start, as well as where based on where you're trying to go. So I mean that's just some. I mean I could put that link in the chat if you like, but it's just a
Yeah,
description on.
yeah, I'll show
Hmm?
that as well. I'll show that as well. We got time to show that.
Okay.
And it depends on what sector, private sector you go into. If it's a publicly traded company, yeah, they're gonna hit you up on those sites because like if anything goes wrong and stockholders or anybody like that want to know okay exactly what happened with this, that, and the other, yeah, you have to have uh your ducks in order. It's like if it's a small company, you might get away without having to have like X amount of certs.
Hmm.
But the bigger the company, publicly traded companies, the government, someone that's got a very high chance of getting sued for whatever reason, yeah, you gotta have like more stuff to you.
Hmm. Yeah. So this is the gateway, the pathway for for your technology progression in terms of certifications that Keep It Techie was referring to. So the first one they're talking about is IT fundamentals. That's the baseline of literacy for information technology from the corporate perspective. And then comes A plus that focuses on service level jobs in terms of Geek Squad and other Staples and other places where you do desktop support. Network Plus refers to what we covered earlier, basically the network support. Then Security Plus is your foundational level of cybersecurity. And then you see there's two different paths that you can go. You could either go for the infrastructure pathway, which is Linux Plus, Server Plus, and Cloud Plus. I did exactly that. Minus the Linux Plus, I did Security Plus, Server Plus, Cloud Plus. Back then, there was no pen test plus. Uh, and then you have your cybersecurity pathway, which is pen test plus, cybersecurity analyst, and then CAS, which is advanced security practitioner, which I'm taking next month. And then you have your professional skills, Project Plus, Cloud Essentials, and CTT Plus. I'm not sure who takes that, but okay. Um, Let me click on this right here. It says the median wage for computer user support specialist was $53,000 in 2016. That's middle class salary. And again, network and computer systems administrator for Network Plus, 79 grand a year. Maybe this is in New York or something like that. I don't know too many people with Network Pluses that make that kind of money, but whatever.
I don't, and I got Nowhere Plus and a few others. I don't make that much.
Hmm. The median wage for a Security Plus guy was information security analyst was $92,000. That's about right. That's exactly about right. I don't know if you're going to be a security architect. I doubt that you're not going to be a security architect. If you're a security architect, you don't even have that certification. Doesn't even mean anything to you. Security specialist, yes. Security consultant, yes. Security engineer, probably. Security system administrator, more than likely. Let me look up Linux Plus. Yeah, junior Linux administrator at 79 grand a year in 2016. Sounds about right. Same thing for Server Plus. It's all the same. 79 grand a year. Roles would be system engineer, server administrator, sales solution specialist. Maybe you work for a vendor like CDW. Hey, have a good one. And let me look at Cloud Plus. Look at this.
Wow.
Cloud Plus. Cloud services, cloud engineer, project manager, cloud computing, business analyst, 101 grand a year in 2016. I have mine too. And let's see, CAS. You make so much, you're not even listed.
There you
Not
go.
enough data.
Don't ask.
Yeah. Security analyst, SOC analyst. I've been there before. Vulnerability analyst, cybersecurity specialist, threat intelligence analyst, and security engineer. 92 grand a year. That sounds just about right. So I'll drop that in the chat as well for people who are curious about this. All right, now we're in open mic. Anybody have any questions from the chat? You can actually start asking now. Well, I know you have any questions.
I think Lionel stepped out. Yep. Lionel stepped out.
Okay.
All right. Mike, what do you use for your lab for testing your stuff out?
It depends on what I'm testing. What exactly are we referring to?
Like since you're in network security, do you actually have like a pen test lab or anything
No,
like
we
that?
don't. We don't. We have Intel Nooks.
Okay.
So that will be something that we use, but not. You wouldn't necessarily you know, have your own little box. You usually use a separate box and isolate it.
Okay. All right. Keep it techie. Do
Yes,
you use
sir.
lab?
I just mainly play around with different operating systems on in VirtualBox. So I do use Oracle VirtualBox heavy. That's one thing I use to test applications before I actually put them on my system, just to see how it works and everything. I do that in VirtualBox because I can quickly just delete the VM and start over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm using VM workstation. I'm still on 12. I haven't moved up to 14 yet. But yeah, I just set up. I got a testing lab that I use for work, and then I got like a kind of like a learning lab of I'll put this OS on here, test this out, play with it, see how to make it work the way I need it to work, and then see if I can break it. That way I ain't got to spend no money on no hardware.
Yeah. Hey, just to answer a question not a question, but a statement in the chat.
Mhm.
I seen Rick Boss said private contractor can make bank overseas. That's so true. I did it for about 4 years, and you can make a lot of money. And just to give you an idea, because I don't care anymore. I'm not working those jobs anymore. But At one point, I was making over 200K, and I'm not trying to flex or anything, but yeah,
So,
you can make a lot of money overseas. Um, just working on those government contracts.
mhm.
Just throwing it out there.
Thank you.
Yep.
We got any other questions that anybody wants to throw out? Any kind of questions?
Yeah, I don't think that people really realize that corporate world is very structured. There is no skipping around things. You can't. This isn't this isn't your homeboy's hookup. There's a structure in place that exists long before you've even signed an application or applied for a job. As soon as you come in there, you have to conform into their way of doing business. And there's so many black men who want to walk into these environments and think, man, I can just do it this way, or I could just skip this, and I could just no, you can't do that anymore. Or at one point, it was never that case, but now you just can't do that. There's a lot, especially with all these breaches in place that has happened over the last few years. Um,
Class
People's
action
laptops being,
lawsuits.
yeah, class action lawsuits. You just can't get around some of the standards that are already structured in place now. So if they say you need an A plus, you might as well just get it. It doesn't make any sense to try to skip around it. You're not saving any money. In fact, spending $300 on an A plus is actually going to give you $10,000 more, $5,000 more in salary. I can't see how you can go wrong getting it. It pays for itself. Basically, what I'm saying.
It's just that some of us like looking at the cost. Like I said, it's two tests that you got to take to get one cert, and that's why I try to tell most of the guys I work with that's under me, go ahead and get your Network Plus just so you can get used to it. But like you said, Mike, this is an investment in yourself. You'll still have to like eventually have to get it just so you have that on your arsenal to be able to go out there and get a job. Still pretty much have to have it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would say though as well. It's I mean, if you look at it as an investment in your future, then it's a no-brainer to spend the money to get these certs.
Like the job I had before this one, you're not allowed to even touch like switches, routers, and especially the firewall unless you had a certification in it.
Mhm.
And I went in there and argued, and I was like, dude, I can like plug a network cable into a switch, dude. I got my Network Plus. And they're
Mhm.
like, yeah, but no, you can't have that unless you get Cisco, blah, 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 or you get, like, okay, all right. We actually had other people that actually had to run cables into the switches because we didn't have certain certs.
Mhm. One of the experiences I had in the past was because Verizon does manage security now, MSS, and they wouldn't talk to one of our staff members because they did not have their security plus. So there was an incident that happened, and they wanted to talk to one of the security analysts. The first question I asked, does he have his security plus? No, he doesn't. We don't want to talk to him. We need somebody who's security plus certified. That's it. What were you saying, Christian?
Um, Nothing yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think
But
we'll wrap this up. We'll wrap this up in 10 minutes. Go ahead.
I will say one more time, I like CompTIAs just because they're good beginner certifications. They help you
Mhm.
get understanding of like what type of questions they're going to ask you on some of these certification tests. And depending on what you want to go into, if you want to go into like network administration with like Microsoft servers, then you go down to Microsoft Check. And then they got like, if you go to their website, they have a flow chart of get this cert, this cert, this cert, this cert, bam, and then figure out which way you want to go. If you want to go with SQL, communications with Exchange, or if you want to go with more cloud, they got a plan for you to go through. If you want to go into more networking with like switches, routers, and firewalls like Cisco, they got a track. I just like Comptia just because it's a really good beginner, and then you can start going to vendor specific.
Mhm.
And again, don't know why we keep getting this. There's not that much math in IT. Like Mike said, eighth grade level, you're pretty cool.
Mhm.
I just want to throw that out there. I'm done, sir.
Keep it taking. You have any closing thoughts?
Um, I mean, I would just reiterate what you guys said already. That the certs are very, very important to get you into the IT field, I guess, and to me, I mean, it's more important nowadays than actual degree, in my opinion, unless you're trying to get into director of IT or on the management level. But the certs will get you in. Um, like I know I worked with a lot of guys in California on this last contract, well, the contract before this, where they were all just getting into IT, um, and the certs is what got those guys the jobs. All they had was A plus, Sec plus. Some of them had Network plus, but the minimum for that government contract, and you ain't have to have no military background or anything. The minimum um, was that you had A plus, just one of those certs, and you can get into the IT field and put something on your resume quickly. So those certs will help you get in uh, very quick. So
And before we close out, I just want to share my screen and show Indeed.com. Indeed is a job search website where you can actually look up your location. It would tell you, based on the job description, the title, what's available and what the salary is going to be. So, looking at this right here, City of Atlanta, looking for desktop support technician, 44 to 58 grand a year in Atlanta. That's pretty good money in Atlanta. Now, if we look at the requirements, um, completion of appropriate technical course or associate's degree in computer science, 2 years of work experience in help desk and or desktop support, associate's degree. Uh, it's a bad description, but it's basically telling you that you have to have one or the other, either a certification or a degree, associate's degree. And certifications are actually seen as some certifications are seen as a degree. So, yep. Performs IT system installation, repair, preventative maintenance of personal computers and related systems. This is intermediate level position capable of carrying out most assignments under general direction. This level would be attainable by multiple incumbents in the work group, but would not be an automatic promotional level. Supervision received, works under very general supervision, may work independently or with other skilled or semi-skilled workers with responsibility for completion of assigned task. These are typical responsibilities for this position and should not be construed as exclusive or inclusive or all inclusive. May perform other duties as assigned. Meaning you better get put some gloves on and start cleaning out those desktops with all those dusties in there.
Compressed air.
What was that, Christian?
Compressed air. Blow all that stuff out.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't recommend anybody do that in the office. I always put the desktop in the hallway and blow that stuff out there.
We actually had a
Also,
little cleaning room.
mhm.
They had like this huge vent, so when we blew the stuff out, it blew it outside. Yeah.
Yeah, I also have a paintbrush. So paintbrushes help too. Typically, keep a brand new paintbrush and use that to sweep out the thick, nasty dusties in there, and kind of just put it in the trash. The thing is, you don't want to blow cold, compressed air into a desktop and just blow it all through the office. You'll have everybody with the sneezes. So
Are we having another one tomorrow?
I don't think so. Not to my knowledge. I was going to follow up on job searches and stuff like that, but I don't think that's necessary. We can follow up on that next week.
Okay.
But I'm just going over Indeed.com to show you guys what's
Hey.
available right now based on these certifications that we just discussed. A plus is is really stepping up in pay. I mean, I remember desktop support paid like $10 an hour or something like that. Now you're talking 60 grand. So. There's a lot of jobs in Atlanta. I guess there's not enough roles to be filled. Black men should be killing Atlanta right now.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you all for joining us. This was this is the end of the Black IT Talk. We did the IT Summit yesterday, so go back into our archive videos and look that up. And we're out.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.